Hello BookTube. My name is David. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to talk about bookish gifts. Last month was June. It was my birthday month. And I got a handful of bookish gifts. Some related to birthday, some not so related to birthday. And I just thought I'd take a moment to share those with you, as well as to share the results of a little mini book haul that I had today at the local library. So, without any further ado, the first three books I'm going to talk about came from Beth Ann. We did a little book swap. I sent her some books, she sent me some books from local bookstores, and we shared wish lists, kind of. And so the first book she got me was Hyperion by Dan Simmons. As you can see, I am most of the way through this one. This was one I was planning on finishing in June. My buddy for the buddy read kind of had life happen, so I slowed down on it. And I do plan on finishing it yet this month. I'm off to a really strong start this month, so I'm hoping to push through. I'm really enjoying this one, in spite of the incredibly long chapters. Like, I'm on page 312 and I'm at chapter 5. So incredibly long chapters, but I've enjoyed it immensely. The second book she got me was The Dragonbone Chair by Tad Williams. So this is book one of Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. I have never read Tad Williams. This was one, both of these books were on my Reddit TBR that I made back in April when I started the channel. And so both of those are on my to read list. And then the last one she sent me was Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. This one went onto my list because of everybody praising it. And so, and you can see here, tiny little man, gigantic dragon. What's not to be excited? Although the first paragraph challenge, this one kind of fell flat. But I mean, there's a lot more than just that single paragraph in here. So I'm very much looking forward to reading this one. So next we have a gift from Miss Reads a Lot. That's right. She sent me John Steinbeck, East of Eden. It is one of her absolute favorite books. It is a book that is being read currently in the Literary Discord server. I'll have a link to an invite that down below. They're reading it this month and discussing it, so you can join Leslie and Una and Crypto and read this along with them. I'm probably not going to read it in July, but it is on my eventual TBR. I do want to read this one. It sounds like a book that I'd really enjoy, and it sounds like those who are reading it right now are thoroughly enjoying it. So I'm excited to get around to this sooner than later. I've kind of avoided Steinbeck because I had a very unpleasant experience reading Grapes of Wrath back in high school, and I've just kind of pushed him off to the side ever since. But it's time to finally get around to reading some more Steinbeck, and I hear that's a place to go. So over on Andrew's Wizardly Reads Discord, they had a little Wiser book exchange thing in the month of June, where you would randomly get drawn somebody, you'd send them a book from their wish list, they'd send you a book. It was like a $25 limit. So I made a little bit of a wish list for that off of the random books that popped up on there. And I found out yesterday Nico was the one who had me, and he sent me the Landmark Julius Caesar. It was the first Landmark edition that I received. I have since picked up Herodotus as well in anticipation of reading Herodotus next month. But based on the first paragraph from the Gallic War, which I came, I think, third out of the 10 that I did in the book tag things, I'm very excited to get into this one. And because it's got just all kinds of notes, it's got maps. I need maps like this to decorate my walls. I want maps like this from ancient and medieval periods and battles and conquests and all of those to decorate these walls. So I'm super excited to get into those. And then I have got a good friend here locally. She got me some bookish gifts for my birthday. So she got me Bill Bryson, Shakespeare, The World as a Stage. I think I've read this before, but it's been a long time, and I do remember enjoying it, although I may be thinking of a different Bill Bryson book. She got me A to Z Tolkien by David Day, which I'm excited to go into. It's kind of encyclopedic entries, which might actually be really good to pair with my reading of the Silmarillion right now to try to keep all these names and everything straight. And then she got me 2 Jack White books, The Sorcerer Metamorphosis and The Skystone, The Forging of Arthur's Britain. So these are in the Camelot Chronicles. I know nothing about it, but it's King Arthur. It is definitely hitting that TBR. I'm super excited about them, so thank you, Alexi, for the books. I know I said thank you at the time when you gave them to me, but thank you again. I'm really excited to get to all 4 of those. Then my library. I found out recently that they are wheeling out a couple of different carts each day to kind of look through for free books. And about a week ago, I stopped by for the first time. And the only thing I found of note was a Ray Bradbury book, which is great because I'm reading every book by Ray Bradbury. So I got a Graveyard for Lunatics. I'm not even sure how soon this will be coming up to read, but this is pristine condition book. So I couldn't pass it up. It is the first Bradbury and only Bradbury book that I own so far. I've got Martian Chronicles from my library on checkout. Speaking of checking out Bradbury books from my library, had my wife put in an interlibrary loan the other week to try to get a hold of The Dark Carnival, which, as I mentioned, is impossible to get a hold of for like less than a couple $100 right now. Wildly out of print. Ray Bradbury didn't like it, let it go out of print. So when they came back and said, "Yep, we found it," I'm like, okay. So I got word that it's in. So today we went there to the library. My intention was to get this book picked up. And it is The October Country. So it's not The Dark Carnival. However, The October Country is The Dark Carnival Plus. Essentially, this was a couple books later. He retouched up the stories, added a couple extra stories, and republished it all as The October Country. This is the one to read if you want to read The Dark Carnival, from my understanding. It was book 6 on my list to read, which I would get to before the end of the year. It is now going as book number 2, right behind the Martian Chronicles, so that I can take advantage and read this before I have to send it back at the beginning of August. I'm excited to get into this one. This is one of the 2 in that first 6 that I haven't read by Ray Bradbury. The other one being The Golden Apples of the Sun. I don't think I've read that one. So this will be started this month, finished this month. Well, I mean, I've got a couple of days into August, but I've almost finished Martian Chronicles. This one is a little bit longer than Martian Chronicles. It's got, let's see, quite a few stories. The Small Assassin, I know I've read that in some other Bradbury collections. I know that one's a good one. So I'm excited to read this one and see what that's like. So also on the cart that I had mentioned before were a couple other books that I'm kind of excited about. So I've got a couple of vintage science fiction books behind me, so not knowing anything about it, but figuring it's free, it'll fit in. I got First Cycle, edited and expanded by Michael Kurland. So sci-fi book. It's vintage. I mean, it's 200-ish pages. Yeah, 201 pages. It'll fit in really well for like New World November maybe. So I'm excited to read that. And while this isn't science fiction, I did see a second vintage book there. The Hand in the Glove by Dole Bonner. There's that. No, by Rex Stout. So Dole Bonner is, I'm assuming, the detective. Yeah, the detective. So it's a unsurpassed master of great detective fiction. You know, I'm feeling some detective fiction, so I might have to pick this one up sometime soon. Speaking of detective fiction, though, it can't surpass right here the complete Sherlock Holmes novels, Study in Scarlet and the Cynophore. Well, those aren't the complete novels, but I'm sure both of these novels in here are complete. I've read both of them before. I no longer have a complete works of Sherlock Holmes on my shelf, so I figured, hey, for free, why not grab this? And, you know, until I get a different version to replace it. Because with Michael K. Vaughan doing Sherlock Saturdays now, I'm itching to read some more Sherlock Holmes. A couple other rereads that I grabbed on a whim. T.S. Eliot, The Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. I'm pretty sure this is a poetry collection that I've read before. I mean, it's 50 some pages. It's short. It's going to be a nice, fun reread with Poetry Thursday. I figured I should pick up a nice little poetry volume, maybe read something out of it, not next week, but maybe the week after, and then pass it along if I don't want to keep it around. This one I read probably back either in or right after high school. So the One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich. I remember loving this book. I remember this being one of the first Russian literature books that I read and just fell in love with. So free, again, why not? I'd love to reread it. And then the one that first caught my eye and the one that made this a good day at the library card. Plato's Republic. So translated by GMA Grube. And I'm excited. I need to read The Republic. I mean, this was obviously a textbook for a class at some point in time. But I mean, there's nothing in here. It's pristine condition. I need to read The Republic. I need to do it. So I'm going to make sure I do it. Because I've got a copy now on my shelf. So thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned because tomorrow, hopefully, I've got even more that will be coming up. Possibly a review of the Stainless Steel Rat. Have a good day.